All right, that showed that it was like really loud as it went in, but I can't hear it, so I don't know if it was. If it was, tell me so we can figure it out. All right, we're live, I'm pretty sure. Yep, we're live. Just going through the intro now. All right, we're there. Give it a few minutes, which I've given everybody 7 minutes of lead time to get there. God bless him.
Why do you have glasses on?
Just give everybody a different
With
look.
giant fingerprints all over them.
Yeah, I know.
You look really stupid.
I know.
Okay.
Just trying to give everybody a different look, trying to spice things up a little bit. Spice things up in the room here.
All right. If that's what we're calling it now.
I just felt really cool today.
Why? What gave you that vibe?
I don't know. I just had to edit really fall into place. And I was like, yeah, I did that.
Error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming.
It said that last time and we didn't have a problem.
Okay. I'm going to
Remember?
let it roll.
Didn't we have that issue last
Which
time?
Wi-Fi are you on? That might be our issue. Are you on the guest?
Oh, well.
No. You need to be on the 5G.
Okay.
But I don't know the password yet. Off the top of my head.
It's
Well, don't tell everybody on the podcast. Sit outside our thing and steal our stuff.
from wherever they are.
What is Redmond Hunt? I don't even know what
I
that
don't
is.
know.
right
I
here.
got it from Utah. Yeah,
Oh.
it's right there. I got
Well,
it
I
from
can't do it in the middle of the stream. It might kick it off.
You restart it.
Well, I don't want to restart and start everything again. No.
Presents a problem. Ryer and Clay present solution. No, I don't want to do that.
Welcome to Copeland Creative.
Hilarious. Almost as funny as you look with those glasses on. I'm sure Chuck will be on this podcast today because we know he didn't work today. Again.
He was up at 3:15 a.m. That's an hour after I went to bed.
What?
Yeah, my sleep schedule's entirely ruined again.
Why?
I don't know.
Maybe because you have sunglasses on inside. It's not helping anything. Literally anything.
You don't wear your sunglasses at night
No.
so you can see? I do.
All right. Let's roll into this thing. Y'all ready? Oh. Ryer's looking like a crew member of the Duck Commander.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Not really.
Either that or ZZ Top.
Oh my gosh, Baker's calling me again. I can't answer you again, Baker. Sorry, guys, for the buzzing sound. That's Baker calling me again. And I don't have my computer to reply to him because my computer is still toasted.
Do you want me to message him on Instagram?
Gosh,
I'll just screenshot this.
yeah, just screenshot it and tell him, sorry, bud. I have to get back to you in an hour.
Headbuster says, Ryer looks like a gangster. Thank you. You a real one.
Don't encourage him.
Big Daddy Hauser says, yeah, ZZ Top. See, these...
Aren't you supposed to be messaging someone very important right now?
Yeah, well, nothing is more important than me getting complimented. And that is the truth.
Well, you getting a paycheck is, so.
I don't think Caleb would fire me over that. I've done much worse things.
Like, delete things you shouldn't, or?
We're going to go there.
I wasn't going to go there. I was going to let you breach that topic.
I'm not going to breach that topic. I don't want it to happen again. I don't want to jinx myself.
Let's see. We are podcasting with Caleb's phone. He will return your call when we are done.
Perfect.
Boom. Proof.
All right, let's do it.
Dang it.
Let's podcast.
You know what I hate the most out of anything? Is, you know how you get Instagram notifications that come down from the top of your phone? Like somebody messages you and it comes down. Well, so since I have multiple accounts, the Cope Creative and the Redneck Tech, sometimes I'll be going to navigate Instagram and like press the back button. And as soon as I press the back button, somebody messages one of those accounts and I press that, and it takes me to the whole other account, and then I have to back out and go back to what I was doing.
All right. That's cool. Not really. All right. Let's do this.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by Mike'sArchery.com. They're a one-stop shop for virtually everything archery, bow hunting, and for your next outdoor adventure. Mike's Archery has been at the top of the archery game for over 50 years, and they want to give listeners of the Redneck Tech Podcast 10% off their entire online store using the code REDNECK10, all one word. Just put the code in before you check out, and your boys will hook you up. The guys at Mike's have always been good to us, and now they can be good to you too. Visit Mike'sArchery.com and get your gear now.
Right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. Yeah. You want him? Yeah. Yo, we're here, episode 138. What level editor are you? And the reason we're doing this podcast is because this weekend is our editing class. For those of you that aren't coming, you suck. We have a cool group of guys that are coming. Why does that mean? I'm being honest. They suck for not coming and hanging out and being. You can ask anybody who's been to one of our classes. It is a freaking blast. We have a good time. We are the least serious guys you've ever met, and we know about 3 things about what we're trying to teach. So 4 things, depending on who you ask. But if you have ever thought about
I do think we need to preface this. Like, I feel like for some reason people think that we're serious.
Hey, your computer has a spinning wheel of death now that I've opened force quit. Yeah.
Gosh. I would just leave it. You know what you're going to talk about.
I don't, but now I do. Go ahead, sorry. Preface what?
For some reason, people thought that we were professional and serious, even though I've done everything in my power to ensure that nobody thinks that about me.
What?
That I'm professional and serious. I know I may look professional and serious right now. Like, I really look like I'm about to get down to business, but I'm not. I'm not getting down to business.
You can ask anybody who's came to our classes, and I've done classes forever. We've done several since Ryer's been here and Clay's been here. Ask anybody if we have a good time, and we have a great time. We stay up way too late. We go down very, very deep rabbit trails, and it's fun, man. We have a great time. It's a great networking opportunity. We still stay in touch with most everybody who's ever come to one of our classes, just because, I mean, we consider them friends, usually on social media before ever to get here, but definitely after they've hung out with us for a whole weekend. And we go out and eat. We do all kinds of stuff. I mean, trying to find time to go eat is usually the hardest part because we're always immersed in what we're doing. But it's going to be a fun weekend. But we thought we needed to kind of, before we even really dug into our curriculum, which we've kind of pretty much got what we're going to do, we needed to break down the differences and levels of editors. So Ryer put out a poll the other day on social media on where you thought you were in terms of editing, like what level that you were at, and the responses were interesting.
So I put 4. I separated into 4 categories, mostly because there was 4 options in the poll, and also you can kind of separate it into 4 different categories. Today we're going to be doing 3, but out of the people who answered, which if y'all engage and answer questions, y'all the real ones. 15 people labeled themselves as brand new. 30 labeled themselves beginners. 16 labeled themselves intermediate. And then 5 labeled themselves advanced.
So what that tells us is there's a lot of you out there that are in the very early stages of getting going in your editing life. And welcome. Come on in. The water's fine. And I think some of the discouraging things that people run into is, they'll send us stuff to look at, and they're like, yeah, man, I've only got iMovie and, shot this on my iPhone, so it's not y'all's quality. Well, it's not our quality now, but when we first got started, I mean, that's
been
pretty.
told on Instagram they can't hear anything.
On Instagram?
Would it have messed up when you got the phone call? Would it have messed up the...
It's possible.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's that people get discouraged that that everything is not high quality when they first start. Well, man, everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts usually with the only camera they can get their hands on, and the only editing program they can afford or that comes on their computer. I started out with iMovie. I started out with an SD camera that shot on tape, and I shot all this video and had no idea how to get it to the computer to edit it. I didn't understand how to capture the footage off tapes. Thank God we don't have to do that anymore. Thank God everything's digital. It was good for having a backup for things, but it was never good for time management. Because if you shot an hour tape, you had to capture an hour of tape. So you got really conservative with what you shot and what you didn't shoot. It was all the time capturing tapes, backing up tapes. I don't know if I still have any more, but there's tons and tons and tons of tapes somewhere in a box in a dumpster somewhere where I moved them and threw them away. I just couldn't keep them anymore. Ryer is struggling hard trying to get y'all audio, guys. Are the levels down on this?
Well, it worked before you got the phone call because he did a sound check.
Unless you didn't touch any of these, right? You only touched these.
Yeah. Didn't touch anything that I don't normally touch.
Chuck wants to know if he needs to get involved, right?
Oh, God. Ryer's stressing.
Well, nothing even happened.
I know.
Close out the live.
I would just stop the live and start it back.
Start it back, yeah.
God, I know. It's such a pain in the butt. Yeah, well, they're trying not to. Real-time tape transfers were awesome. Yeah, exactly. And Matt Postwell from 42 Pros, who you guys see, he's going to try and come in, I think, into next week, and we're going to do a podcast with him. We haven't decided what we're going to talk about. Actually, might even make him decide the topic. That way we can kind of just talk for one, just hang out and shoot the crap. He's really technical. He's got a cool background, does a lot of fishing. I don't know I don't know if he's still doing as much fishing as he used to, but he's going to come in and we're going to do a podcast with him. So that way you can listen to somebody else talk for once and not us three. Ryer's still trying. I'm still rambling on the podcast, so there's not a bunch of dead space.
You can go ahead and kick off the beginners.
Yeah, I guess I could kick off the beginners. Hold on, Ryer. Come on, buddy.
But what I'm saying is, like, if that's now your headphone jack if you get a phone call. So it may have. I'm just saying that where that mic plugs in is technically your headphone jack, so it may have. Hey, try not to cut me off this time. I mean, you have 4 feet of table over there where there's nobody, and then I get cut in half. I mean, I appreciate you cropping out my bald spot, but that's why I wear a hat.
I think I know we get a lot of more engagement on Instagram. I just don't think it's worth doing all this for the Instagram every time. Love you guys, but it's a pain in the butt. It's supposed to be, but it never is because technology never works like it's supposed to. Yes, Matt said he still does a ton of fishing. We'd like to do some fishing. I'd like to get into some. Fishing's quick and easy. Got it? You fixed it? Yes. He fixed it. Look at him.
I mean, I think
there we go.
We collectively fixed it. I'm the one that told him to close it out.
We're back on track. All right. So we're all right. We're going to talk about the levels of editing. What level are you when it comes to editing? And we kind of we put it in 4 categories on the poll, but we've kind of broken it down to 3 categories now that we're going to kind of get guys into the editing bay and start teaching to them. The 3 categories are new/beginner, and then we're calling that more the mechanics and fundamental stage. Then there's the intermediate, which is building scenes, dialogue. It's developmental. And then advanced, storytelling, professional. This is something that you're doing to try and make money. So this is where we're at. So I am going to be covering and handling the beginners, new, fresh into editing, beginners. That's kind of got to be where I'm going to take guys under my wing this weekend and handle anything and everything from beginners. I'm essentially going to start with a blank slate, open up Premiere, and be like, all right, here's the footage, here's where we're putting it. And then we're going to go from there. I'm actually putting a commercial together for Copeland Creative right now, so it actually might be a good one to almost recreate that. So I'm going to be handling beginners. Clay is going to be handling intermediate, and Ryer is going to be handling advanced. So we don't really know. We didn't screen everybody. I think everybody's going to be more that intermediate beginner. I think we might have one or two guys that come in that are going to be in advanced. So if you're advanced, you're in for some rabbit trails with Ryer. If you're in beginners, you're in for a lot of little tiny pieces of information with me. And intermediate's kind of where we're struggling, like where that is. Where's the line blur between new beginner and advanced? There's a lot of information between those two stages, but what exactly do those look like? And so that's kind of what we wanted to do, is we wanted to break these down. This was kind of your idea today in the truck, wasn't it? I mean, we wanted to talk about planning for this class, but it was kind of your idea to break this down this way. Why was that?
Well, because I think that one, with anything, sometimes it's hard to kind of it's hard to self-identify necessarily where you're at, especially if you are new and beginning, and you don't really know what the quote-unquote benchmarks. And I say quote-unquote because these are obviously things that we've made up. And I think that we kind of decided, when we say advanced, like, we're not talking the pinnacle of editing achievement. Like,
you're to the point where you can charge for your work, though.
Yeah, like when we say advanced, we kind of all decided, like, an advanced editor is somebody that we could here at the company go hand a hard drive of footage, say, this is the finished product we need. We need it to tell this story, be this long, have this vibe, and they'll be able to execute on that. Basically, you're able to take your skills to most professional organizations or companies.
Yeah.
And I think
I think that's kind of the benchmark for advanced, and then obviously you've got intermediate and beginner. And I think it's important for people to, one, be able to kind of identify where they're at, and two, kind of identify the skill sets and the things that you're going to be working on and trying to master at each level, so that you can kind of get an idea of what you need to be working on, what you need to be focusing on, and what you need to really be trying to learn. And I think that's especially important for the beginners and the intermediate guys, because especially as a beginner, you don't know so much, and you feel like you need to know all of these things, when in reality there are stages to it, just like playing sports. Like, you don't start off being Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Like, you start off being a kid who's never played the sport before, and you have to master certain things and learn certain things that you then build off of into the next level, and then you build off of into the next level. And then, of course, there's never really a stopping point to this.
Yeah.
You're always building and improving on your skill sets, but I think it's important for people to understand these are the skill sets that you need to work on to build these fundamentals, to build that base, and here's where you go from there. And being able to kind of self-identify and then kind of in their head have that track.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Clay?
It's hard for some people to really rate where they are editing-wise, because they don't know how capable Premiere is, or a Final Cut or whatever. Like, they don't know what things are possible, or they see something and they think, oh, that looks like the coolest thing ever, and then they don't actually realize how simple it could be. Like, it's literally...
It's overwhelming when you open it the first time.
Right.
Well, my little brother, actually, he just, I think last week, he texted me and was like, hey, man, what editing software would you recommend? And I'm to the point where I stop recommending beginner softwares to people, because I honestly don't think that I personally don't think that there's an advantage to using iMovie over Final Cut or Premiere Pro Rush over Premiere Pro. Most of the mechanisms are the same, and I think that if it's something you like, if you just want to do really simple, easy stuff and get it out there. For time purposes, sure, use those. If you're looking to do this like as a career or more as a hobby or for yourself and you're looking to improve as a editor, then just start with the program you're going to use and learn it. So I just suggested to him, and maybe you guys think differently than me, but that's my personal thoughts.
That's my thought too.
I think some of them are so simple to use that it actually almost makes it harder.
Well, and then you feel like there's this big jump into the professional program where in reality the professional program gives you more options, but you don't have to use them all. And your basics are always going to stay the same. So anyways, I recommended to him Premiere Pro, and a few days later he messaged me. He was like, dude, what's going on here? I'm so confused. I'm so overwhelmed. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I said, look, go to YouTube, go find some beginner tutorials, and just start working through them. Like, I can help you for sure, but like that's the best way to really just.
So he's interested in getting into video?
Yeah, he always kind of has been. He does he's a car guy. He's actually, I guess he's taken entire engines out of cars and stuff. He got into doing that kind of stuff. He has like a car club in California and stuff, and he's I don't know if he's doing like video vlogs for that or kind of what it is, but yeah, he's always kind of dabbled in it, and
cool.
Sounds like he's looking to kind of do a little bit
Take
more.
your spot in the company? Or?
Y'all don't want two of us. Y'all don't want
That's
two
why I said
porters
take
running
your
around
spot.
here. Oh, no, he ain't taking my spot.
So.
You want to see me get competitive.
Oh, God. So we've broken this down, and I'm going to cover the beginner part of it. And now that I think about it, I'm probably going to teach this beginner class the same way I was taught. I knew nothing about video editing, and I sat with a guy who did church videography for 2 days for probably 4 hours a day. Literally sat in his office. He didn't really teach me. He just, as he did stuff, he would say, all right, I'm bringing in footage. This is how I'm doing it. This is where the footage is located. This is how you bring it into the timeline. And, like, it was just so much information. And after 2 days, like, I never touched the mouse, never touched the computer, just sat there and watched him for 2 days and tried to take it all in, which I'm not going to teach that way. But I'm going to start with the absolute basics like he did. And after 2 days, he just turned around in his chair and looked at me. He's like, all right, go for it. I'm like, what?
Go for what?
He's like, start filming stuff and putting it in the timeline. Start screwing up. Start making mistakes. Start figuring it out. He's like, the only way you figure it out, the only way you learn is to mess it up and to say, why does this suck? And he's like, and the more times you ask yourself, why does this suck, you'll figure out how not to make it suck. And that's pretty much what I did. Got the job at Sub 7 and learn. I was an intermediate. I don't even know if I was intermediate level editor then. I would say I was in between beginner and intermediate. I mean, I was kind of teetering in the middle. And then I got to advanced real fast. I got thrown in the fire. 3 months of on-the-job training of not knowing what you're doing will make you learn really, really fast when you don't want to get fired from your dream job.
They really said, you go and learn today?
Yeah, like literally Chance walked in with a hard drive, sat it on my desk, and was like, good luck. And that's how I learned.
Flunk in those
it was.
days.
And Chance, I was this new kid. I had no idea what I was doing. And he probably could tell from the first footage that I ever shot that he got that I had no idea what I was doing because it was virtually unusable. And he was patient with me. He taught me. He taught me. He begrudgingly sat down to my computer and fixed my stuff. Hey, who took the things off the tables? I just noticed.
Ryer and I took an executive order that they look like crap.
Oh, well.
The Ryer's complaint was no one can see me behind the sign.
Demerits.
It's true. The antler hides my face, and then it's like an
Oh
awkward
my
position.
God.
It's awkward framing. You would never frame somebody like that. I'm not just saying that because it's me. Honestly, it's awkward. It was awkward. It was an awkward look.
So I just spent
We'll
a
figure
bunch
it
of
out.
money on
We'll
the
figure-
signs. And
I was not involved in this. We did not. I mentioned this to Clay, and he took it upon himself to remove them.
demerits.
No, demerit. I made a
You
comment.
went along with it.
I didn't know they
This
were
is
gone.
a team.
I didn't do anything. He's just playing on the fact that he's a cripple, and you feel bad for him.
I'm a cripple at the moment.
Yeah, I'm the only one apparently with
No,
fully
you're-
functioning limbs.
So let's talk about beginner. So essentially, when you're a beginner, the only video you're really going to put together is a montage. And we've talked about what a montage is. It's clips put together over a music bed. And it's the simplest form of a video. People love a good montage. There are ways to make montages very, very epic and very, very cinematic. But that is the most basic form and simplest form of editing. So,
do you know the history of montage?
You're going to tell me.
No, it's just because it's fun.
No, sure.
So,
tell me.
So
I don't know the history.
I might be a little wrong in this, but in the early days of film, obviously, people didn't really edit film. They would shoot it, and then they would show it, but they never edited film. So they would just have one shot. And I think it was some guy was doing a psychological experiment and figured out that if you could put two shots next to each other and it wouldn't like overwhelm or scare the audience, because people in those days were so unfamiliar with video and film that like I remember there was some video of a train coming at them and people literally got scared and ran out of a theater because they saw the film of this train coming towards them, and their brains, not having any experience with that, were like, thought it was an actual train. And he figured out that, well, you could splice and put different shots next to each other and create different contexts using those shots. And so that was kind of the beginning of film editing, and they termed that montage. So putting two different shots, three different shots, four different shots together into a sequence in order to create meaning out of those shots, that's a montage. So at its most...
There's your tip of the week.
Yeah, the basic form of montage is just things put together, but you can also, once you get to like a super advanced level, you can use montage to create meanings through the relation of clips to each other.
Almost every rom-com's got a solid montage about 3/4 of the way through as the relationship's building or as things are happening.
And you've got different types of montages, right? You've got like location montages, you've got your training montages, you've got your
time
montages, and then you've got your like idea connection montages. Anyways, that's not beginning, but
most
you said montage, and I thought, I remember that fact.
Yeah, most reels that are put together are some type of montage. It's clips from different times, different places, all put to one over a bed of music with most of the time not a ton of thought put into them. Speaking of reels, we're 3/4 of the way done with ours, so it will be out sometime next week. That's the plan. You don't think it'll be out next week?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometime next week. We're ready for that to be done. I know Ryer's ready for it to be done. So,
having a good time.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, then keep at it. I mean, there's no time limit on it.
Don't tell him that.
No. I mean, I'm not going to work on it forever.
How about we set a time like we're going to drop it? Would be a good.
I don't like that, though.
Okay. Never mind. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's go back. New beginner.
What are the skills do you think a new beginner needs to?
So we're getting into that right now.
I was just trying to tee you up.
You're teeing me
I
up.
was just trying to.
So the first thing is obviously opening the program, importing footage, and organizing it within the program. Being able to actually work within the program, opening it up, bringing the footage in, putting it in your project, and then being able to look at the footage and then open it in your preview monitor, which is literally double clicking. It opens in your preview monitor. Really easy. And once you can import footage and organize footage within the program, the next thing you need to know how to do is get that from the program monitor into your canvas or into the timeline, and start being able to add cuts and move things around, delete pieces, all those things. And then the final skill is the simplest. You need to figure out how, once you have clips in that timeline that you want to create one video, how to export that timeline into a standalone video. That's the simplest form of beginner. And I mean, obviously we're going to go into a lot more stuff than that. And there's a lot of steps into those simple skills. And there's knowledge that goes on. Like, you don't just hit file export and it goes. Like, you have to understand generally in the beginning what codecs, what, file sizes, what, aspect ratio. I mean, you kind of need to know some of these things when you go to export your first video. Where's it going? How do I tell it to go to this hard drive versus that hard drive? How do I, how do I export it in 1080 versus 720 versus, different sizes. I mean, there's a lot of nuance to each one of these skills, but this is the basics of, I want to open the program and be able to use it in its most basic form. That's the beginner stage. So what are some other things that are going to come with beginner? So maybe some things that aren't necessarily on this list that we need to address when it comes to the class.
Well, I think that
maybe it goes as simple as like going and finding your first piece of music, organizing it, and bringing it in. Maybe it's even simple as finding.
I would cover. I know we talked about folder structure, but kind of explaining the whole how Premiere or almost anything Adobe is link based. So where you put something actually matters because that's where it has to stay without. Because like you can't download something and then access it in Premiere from your downloads, and then every Friday at 5:00 you clear your downloads, because then that song's gone.
Yeah.
So maybe just something like that. That way they avoid that issue and not know what's going on.
I think everything.
Hold on. What I'm the most worried about teaching the beginner stuff is glazing over the parts that are second nature to me.
Right.
That are like, wait, why'd you do that? Why'd I do what? I don't even know what I just did. And it could be something as simple as I right-clicked versus left-click. And I subconsciously do it because I know I got to right-click to get to this and left-click to get to this.
Or some things we do so fast because it's a keyboard shortcut where most people have to right-click.
And that's something that you need to learn. Beginning is starting to learn those simple shortcuts. Learning.
I mean, simple. I think, like you said at the beginning stages, everything is very mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
What you're trying to understand is it's not so much how to edit, right? You're learning how to use the editing program. And I think that's an important distinction, because editing is a skill and an art form. Using an editing program is a skill.
Yeah.
That you can learn and teach yourself by doing it, just like anything else. Just like driving a car, just like riding a bike, just like operating heavy machinery, just like using Excel, just like anything else. Knowing how to use a phone, that's a skill. And so I think that at the beginning stages, what you're doing is building your mechanical knowledge of this new program, and also kind of understanding a little bit about how it works on the back end.
Yeah.
And also understanding that Premiere does not operate in a vacuum. Final Cut does not operate in a vacuum. Avid does not operate in a vacuum. None of these editing programs operate in a vacuum. They operate on your computer, and there's a certain amount of computer knowledge and literacy that you also will need to gain, if you don't already have it, in order to really operate the program.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're going to have to know how to put things on your computer, where to find them on your computer, where Premiere is living on your computer, where all these things are.
Yeah.
And then past that, inside of the program, you start learning how to put things places, and where to, how to cut, what keyboard shortcuts to use, what the menu options do, all these things. You're learning the controls.
But it's what I've said before, and I can't remember exactly how I phrased it, is being an editor isn't knowing how to use the program.
No.
Knowing how to use the program is in the new beginner or intermediate stage. Being an editor is when you're in the advanced stage. Just knowing how to use the program does not make you an editor. It gives you a skill, like you said, on how to use the program.
You're an assembler.
Essentially you're taking pieces and moving blocks around. But there's way more to it than editing an entire story and working dialogue. But that's what we're going to get to with intermediate. So we're going to slide that to Clay. What are y'all talking about?
The chat.
Oh,
so Lance.
Devin.
No, it goes way back. Lance Browning says, "Pain meds got you zoning, Clay. You good, bro?" And I said Ryer bores me, and I said he just talks and talks and talks and talks, and then Devin said, "I can see you immediately mentally checking out as soon as he starts talking."
I don't check out. I'm engaged.
Remember earlier when Clay was talking about editing and how he feels like he's not as good as us at editing.
I don't remember.
I did say that.
He did.
I didn't hear that part.
I wonder if maybe it's because you zone out whenever I talk, Clay. Do you think that?
Well,
maybe?
guess who gets to talk now? It's Clay's turn to talk about intermediate. So have at it, buddy.
I'm just pulling Clay's leg. Clay is a very good editor.
No pun intended on the leg pulling.
Oh, I'll pull the hell out of that leg.
Oh.
Every time I see it, I think, what would happen if I kicked him straight in it? I just want to know.
Fold him like a lawn
I want to
chair.
know, how strong is that brace? What can it really take?
Pretty strong. Those big linemen in the NFL wear them.
It holds all this up, so.
Oh, God. Y'all are children, man. Y'all really are. I forgot how stupid I was when I was in my mid-20s until I look at you guys daily. And then I remember I was real dumb.
We're way far ahead of what you
Oh,
were.
no. Not even close. Running circles around you fools.
Elmore, I can smell Clay's bad leg. He's got vultures following him around.
You missed what he said on the phone today. I was saying something, something about stupid ideas. He said, "Speaking of idiots, where's Clay at?"
Just in my own little world, trying to get work done. That's all. Don't mind me.
He wasn't even in the office, and I was laughing. I was wishing he was though, because that was a good one. Nice solid burn from old Belmore. All right, so intermediate. Let's move on to the next one because I got to get out of here in like 20 minutes.
I wouldn't say intermediate is any more advanced as far as using the footage or bringing footage in as beginners is. It's more of using the music that you've chosen and kind of getting from place to place with that footage. So,
Yep.
I mean, because you could take the same footage. We could give each category of editors the same footage and get 3 completely different levels of pieces. So it doesn't really have that much to do with the footage. It's what you do with it. And
Yeah.
the first 2 things I wrote down were editing to music. So either the beats of the music, if it has strong beats, or timing out clips to basically beats in music that aren't there, if that makes sense. Like if you have a real smooth or slow song that doesn't have a lot of hard bass beats or drum beats, how to time out edits on that, or just using the music to time out your shot to shot to shot to shot.
So something you need to make sure we teach these intermediates is how not to use cross dissolves in video.
Intermediates?
Yeah.
Like you said, intermediates. Okay.
Um,
No cross dissolves. Although I did see a cross dissolve in a Dudley video.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they're never to be used, but it's rare.
The second one I put.
Are you sure it's one I edited?
Pretty sure you were there.
I mean, I edited it. Which one was it?
I think it was Attack.
That would be
I'll
good.
have to go back and look. I don't know. Worried me now.
Oh no,
Jeff's
it
like,
wasn't. It
suddenly I
wasn't,
don't
it
recall
wasn't.
any
It was
edits
the
I've
one that
ever
we
done.
took out of the reel.
The one that we took out of the reel? Yeah, I didn't edit that.
I take that back. So
Okay. Thank you.
I was
about
wrong.
to say,
I was wrong.
I mean, I have used them before, but like 3 times in my life.
What the next one I put was
Well, not in my life, since I've learned what to do.
was like arranging B-roll, so not just having B-roll and throwing it in there for the sake of having B-roll, but using B-rolls in a sequence that it helps tell your story or transition
So that was one of the bigger epiphanies I had editing.
Me too.
I didn't understand how to use B-roll. And I remember I edited that first show to show Chance. I was so proud. And I showed him, and he's like, okay, you have to group your B-roll, and this is why. And he groups it and shows me how to use that to transition, how to hide edits, how to do things. And it was like a bulb went off in my head.
One of the first things you ever taught me was just because you have B-roll doesn't mean you have to use it for the sake of having B-roll. And if you have B-roll to throw over someone talking, I mean, you don't want to put one clip and then show their face talking and then one clip and show their face talking. You want to cut in and out as the fewest amount of times as you can, so not just using it to use it.
Yeah, and grouping it and learning the pacing of that B-roll and how to, like, essentially we build blocks, and this is getting into more of the advanced stuff, but when you build those blocks and using those. You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, because we put number 1 is familiar with basic controls and shortcuts, obviously.
Break down the numbers thing, and we'll kind of talk through them because I want to talk about building blocks.
What numbers thing?
On the notes.
Oh, he's not looking at the notes.
I'm monitoring the podcast.
Oh, so number 1 on our notes that we put for intermediate was a skill that you have is you're familiar with the basic controls and shortcuts. pretty familiar.
Not with all of them, but the basic ones for sure.
Yeah, number 2 is, you're editing to music and you're able to manipulate the music. You talked about that, didn't you, Clay?
Yes.
So you are able to edit to the beats of the song, and you're also able to manipulate the song to start and
shorten, lengthen,
where you
stop
need it
where
to,
you want it. Yeah.
So that you're not a slave to the music.
That was another epiphany I had. Was when Chance showed me how to end a song. I was like, never forget it.
There's more ending song epiphanies that I just had the other day, but we'll talk about that in the advanced.
Okay.
And then number 3 is what you were just talking about, is the scene building. Building scenes, and that's your blocking.
Not to go off the not to digress, but what you just said is important. You're still learning stuff. I'm still learning stuff every single day. You don't ever learn all of it. So we might be at the advanced stage, but you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be an expert. You will be an expert, but you'll never be perfect. There's always something to learn. Anyway, continue.
Were you waiting for a smart comment from me?
No.
Oh, okay. You waiting for my next thing?
Yeah.
My next one was
you.
My next one was like how to ease into a scene versus just throwing the viewer in there, which Ryer had to remind me of yesterday with the Brock edit that I'm working on, where literally nothing happens. So I wanted to.
That
he
smile,
was so pissed at me
that
too.
smile
when I told him
you
about
just
it.
gave was priceless.
Exactly.
You literally did this to me. You went.
Well, because yesterday he was in there and he was pissed at an edit.
Oh,
and he
I'm
called
editing,
me in
I'm
there.
editing a hunt where
And nobody ever
like,
likes to call me in, and I know why it is because I'm a butthole.
No,
and
this is why I don't like calling you in. You cannot explain what you think needs to be done. You have to grab the mouse and keyboard and do what needs to be done. And
This is true.
I hate
you,
that.
You stand over me like for something, and I finally just like, just do it, Ryer.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Well, when
Good
he
God.
comes in, I won't like I'll put my mouse in my pocket if I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Like, I won't let him have my mouse, and he can't use my keyboard because of my shortcuts. So I know I'm good.
It's a pain in
He
my butt.
literally locked him out. He's standing there going, I'm of no use.
Well, that's not the reason I smiled, though. The reason I smiled is because yesterday he calls me in. He's pissed at this edit, and I watched the edit. And
it was trash. I hate it. It's like
what he told me is he's like, I hate it. I'm bored. And I told him, I said, and he's like, I don't know how to make it not boring. And I looked at him and I said, just make it not boring. Which is actually profound advice. Because, like, as an editor, if you're bored with it, one, it means that your viewer is going to be bored with it probably. But you don't get the choice to be like, whatever. Like, you need to figure out how to not be bored with it. So he shows it to me. And I say, okay, well, maybe later on you can do, he's like, I got 3 days and all they're doing is glassing.
Yeah.
He's like, and I know that we want to show all 3 days because the client wants that. He wants to see all the days of the hunt. But, like, not a whole lot develops or happens. And I'm
There's
like, okay.
4 clips in 5 days of deer.
Yeah. And so I said, well, that'd be a great time to use a montage. And he's like, well, I'm kind of doing that here. And it's like immediately as soon as he started the video. And I said, well, why don't you use the first bit, the first morning here, and do like world development, right? Bring the viewer into that environment, let it be slow, introduce the characters, and then take that song that you're using right here for it, and then use that as the montage later, because it has a nice vloggy montage beat, and so then you have somewhere to go. You have a slow, like, intro, opening, you're bringing the viewer in, and then now you can up the pace and go into that. You have somewhere to go as opposed to starting at that pace and not having a higher pace to go to.
And Ryer also shot this, and I'm the one editing it, so he knows what I have. But I think me being the one going through and grabbing all the selects, I knew that there was no deer, nothing dies, like nothing like that. So I wanted to get the video started and get it over with so it wasn't an 8-minute video of literally nothing happening. And I think I hurt myself by doing that, by trying to get in the first day and get it over with. And that's another thing that can make you a really good editor, is someone that will just be brutally honest with you and be like, you need to, this bores me, this slows me down.
That was super hard when I left Sub 7 because we did that. We'd always bring people into edits and let them get, and that was what Chance did. He'd stand in the back and wouldn't say a word, and he'd just go, I'm bored. To edit it, he's like,
So that's
everything
where
was
you
good.
Get,
He's
that's
like,
where you get it from.
yeah, that's where I got it from Chance. You know, he would just stand there and go, yeah, I'm bored. It's slow right here. Speed this up or get rid of it. I'm bored. You know, and Chance wasn't a hunter, but he understood pace. He understood all those things. And he would just get to the point and be like, or he'd watch the whole edit and be like, I think that's good. You know, and that was, I mean, you didn't really get a ton more out of him than that, but he'd be like, yeah, I'm bored. Right. And Nate would do the same thing, you know. But we all did that. And when I went off on my own for about, you know, whatever, a year and a half, 2 years, it was very hard not having that voice of reason, you know, because Nicole, she hates everything. I've never done a good thing in front of her. So yeah, I can't show her.
She's on, by the
and
way.
Your mom's like, oh, I think it's wonderful.
Exactly.
So it's like you can't show them.
Right.
You know, so it's like if you don't have somebody there that's going to go, yeah, that kind of sucks, you know. And that's the hard thing is I watched like, you know, I know you did the 7-minute reel and we liked it, but it's too long. And it had some slow pieces in it. So we had to come in. We all three sat in your office today and we're like, all right. And which you knew it was long. I mean, you knew it was too. And you're like, okay, what do we cut? And we just started hacking. Chuck's stuff got hacked. Sorry, bud. Love you. Brian was in there a couple times. Brian's now in there one time. You know, we cut a lot of stuff that just wasn't ooh and ah. You know, if it wasn't impactful, we cut it. But that's part of learning and that's, oh man, we can go down so many rabbit trails. We're never going to make the time for this. But another really big thing with editing was once you get down this rabbit trail and you start working and doing is you spend so much time with an edit, you become so invested in what it is, and somebody comes in and tells you it's not good, and you want to fight them because you think it's the greatest thing you've ever done. You know, you think it's awesome. You think it's, you know, and they come in and they'll tell you, well, I think this section right here is slow, or I don't like that song, or whatever. And then you get very defensive. I've done it. I've done that before, you know, but you also have to remember, who are you creating this piece of content for? In our case, it's generally a client. We have to create what the client wants. I don't like Dudley's style of editing, what he wants done. That's what he wants. That's what we do. It's not my style, not even close. So we have to put out things that aren't necessarily catered to us. Who's it catering to? The viewer or your client? Or yourself? If you love it and it's for yourself, heck yeah, go for it. But if it's not for you, if it's for an audience, you have to cut it for that audience.
So getting back on track.
Sorry.
No, not your fault.
Very back on track.
Ryer's fault. But Nicole said need a review, call her. If you need her to review anything, she said.
Oh God, my wife's watching. Thanks, babe. Love you.
But I think learning how even this might be the gray area between advanced and intermediate, but how different styles of music can help you edit different ways.
Yeah. If you want to learn how to edit to music, another little hot tip, edit to like hip hop and, you know, stuff with big beats. That makes you learn how to edit to music the best. Anything with big beats, you know, things that are just beds that are just like rhythmic that don't have, you know, like beats to them, they're a lot harder to edit to than something with a beat is. Right. Stuff with big beats, man, sometimes I feel like it edits itself.
And then the last thing I put was transitioning out of one scene and into another. So like ending a night and going into a morning, or on an elk hunt going from one location to the next location, just those type of things.
All right. Now
we also have sound leveling.
Yeah.
So understanding mixing audio so that your music isn't overrunning your dialogue. You can hear your dialogue. It's clear. All those kind of things. And then we've got project and asset management at a deeper and more efficient level. So as a beginner, you understand that Premiere doesn't operate in a vacuum, and you kind of get where things are going. As an intermediate editor, you really need to dive in and understand what is Premiere doing behind the scenes. Where is my footage living? Is that where it should be living? Figuring out how to be the most efficient and safe with your assets, how to optimize everything so that Premiere runs smoothly, that you don't have files unlinking, that you know where everything is, you know where everything goes, and you are able to be a more efficient editor because you understand kind of more of the inner workings of Premiere.
I think another thing that we could probably cover, all three of us, is all the different little not hyperlinks, but little different file types that Premiere creates. So like now they're creating those Premiere project lock things or whatever.
PR locks.
Yeah, that we could kind of just go through and kind of explain like, hey, don't delete this, or like changing where your autosaves go to.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have what happened to me today.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe little things like that.
How far along were you on that? Was it way far?
Well,
or was it pretty close?
I got halfway through and absolutely hated it. So then I started over, and now I'm at the end of the first day.
Okay, you do realize you don't need to delete things. You just create a new sequence and start over.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't delete it.
Oh, okay. Scares me when people say they started over.
No, I didn't delete it.
Like, you just deleted all that work? No. Or I have had people tell me, yeah, I just deleted it all and started over. It's like, why would you do that? Just create a new sequence and start over. It's all still there in case you want to go pull and reference and find.
Yeah.
Saves you so much time. Advanced. You're up, bud.
And I'm out.
I'm about to be out. I got to leave in 5 minutes. So y'all get to close this podcast out because we know Ryer's not doing this in 5 minutes.
Yeah. 4 o'clock, 27, 28, 29. Good. Let's see.
So I think an advanced editor is somebody who understands all the not all, but the mechanics of the program, understands the basics of the mechanics of editing, and is able to basically move on a little bit from how do I do these things to why do I do these things. And as an advanced editor, you're now dealing more with kind of the intrinsic parts of editing.
Things that some abstract stuff.
Yeah, and things that you're not really going to be able to quantify, and a lot of them are very like internalized.
A lot of them you can't look at the timeline and see them.
Well, you can to some degree. Like you can look at a timeline and see pacing.
Yeah.
You can look at a timeline and see, like, if you
sound
were to color
design,
code things
yeah,
and sound design,
yeah.
like you can see them. But I think a lot of it is starting as an advanced editor, you're beginning to develop an instinct. And I think that's important, firstly, because just like anything, to be able to do it well, you have to have some kind of instinct as to how to do it.
Yeah. And that develops over time.
Right. And also, I think it's important that to understand that you won't necessarily have an instinct when you start. So you're not like, a lot of times people ask me, how did you know that was what you wanted to do there? And if I really sit and think about it, I could probably tell you. But a lot of the times the answer comes down to it feels right. And there's a lot of things that make something feel right, but I in my head am not always thinking about those things. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm very deliberate in thinking about what I'm trying to do, but a lot of times it just feels a certain way. The pacing feels a certain way. I feel where I need to cut it. I feel what shot needs to go next. I feel the emotion that I'm trying to get after. And so I think as an advanced editor, what you're beginning to do is realize and really develop your editor instincts, your editing muscle.
And to kind of counter that, in the very beginning when you start editing, you know in your head what you want to do, but you don't know how to do it. So that's that instinct of, or that second nature of knowing how to get there. Like in the beginning, you're going to say, man, I know exactly what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. And then once you get to advanced, you know exactly how to do it. Now you're trying to push the envelope. How do I make this more impactful?
A lot of that has to do with how you shoot it, too. Like, a lot of times...
Yeah, everything has to do with how you shoot it.
The spy point stuff, the Chuck stuff, the stuff that has that 2-week turnaround type thing that we do. I mean, a lot of times when I'm doing the spy point stuff, I'm editing it in my head based off of what my next shot's going to be.
Yeah,
so I already know, like, oh, he's filling feeders. Like, I'm going to get 5 or 6 quick shots. It's going to take me 10 seconds in the edit, get me something, him driving off, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think, so that's kind of further down on my list, but I think, this is kind of where that's, I guess, what you could label this stage. This is, again, we call this the professional stage. Number 1 on my list, I have noted story, emotions, and psychology of an edit. And I think this is what really begins to separate you as an advanced editor, is being able to identify a feeling that you want your viewer to get. being able to understand a story arc, the story you want to tell, and
Music choice.
the music choice and the emotions you need in that story, and when and where to divulge the information within that story to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
And that's where, and you can, as a viewer, I don't know if you necessarily know this, but when you watch something, you, like if something, you get certain feelings when you watch something. And some videos you feel very satisfied, or you feel like you've been told a whole story, or you feel like you've been given an emotion, or you feel something. And other videos you just watch and it's like, oh, that's a cool video. I think as an editor, you really, that's when you start to separate yourself, is being able to tell those stories that feel satisfying, that feel like they follow a good story curve, that you're giving people emotions, you're giving them a range of emotions, and you're really guiding them through this video.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're guiding them through the journey of the video. And, you know, like I said, a lot of that is how it's shot. Part of it is
most of it's how it's shot.
Most of it is how it's shot. Another part of it is understanding the purpose of the piece, and then knowing what you need to do to achieve those feelings and those emotions and get your point across. Because now you're speaking the editing language, just like when you're talking to somebody. What words you say, how you say them, at what pace you say them, all affects what that person is going to feel and take away from that conversation you just had with them. And I think editing is the same. There's a language to editing film. And once you begin to understand that language, you're able to then speak it and manipulate it and use it in order to get your point across better. And a lot of that, like I said, comes down to feeling, but it also comes down to knowing the building blocks, knowing how to use music, knowing how pacing affects the viewer, knowing how certain shots affect the viewer, knowing all of these things, like how everything that you're doing in that edit is affecting your viewer, and knowing how to manipulate that so that you can get those emotions. I think also being cognizant of like all the little things where you're starting to take into account maybe the smoothness visually of your piece. Like if you've got a frame and where your person is looking is in the top third quadrant, right? That's where the subject in that shot is. And you want to cut to a new shot. Well, if you cut to a shot and the subject in that shot is in the other bottom third, well, now that's an abrupt cut, and it's going to feel abrupt. Whereas if you put this subject over here and you cut between those two, it feels much smoother. And you can use that how you want. If you want to smooth edit, then you do that. If you want something to feel jarring and confusing, then you break that, right? Using the 180. If you want something to feel like it's all going and flowing, you abide by the rule, that 180 rule. If you want something to feel jarring and confusing, you break that rule.
Yeah.
So paying attention to all those little things, and then again, pacing and understanding the ebb and flow of video. I think the thing that I see a lot with like a beginner and even an intermediate, and I still do this from time to time, is having a video and it all feels the same. It all feel like the music is the same pace.
Everything's in the middle. It doesn't bring you up. It doesn't slow you down. Everything's just right down the middle.
The same emotion. And a lot of times those videos don't have a story. I don't feel like I've been taken anywhere. And so what I'm always trying to do as an editor is put those ebbs and flows in.
The roller coaster.
And bring, having the high pace moments, the low pace moments, understanding what will affect the viewer most in those circumstances, like when to use low pace, when to use a high pace, how to get from a high pace to a low pace, and being cognizant of how, like all the little things that make that pace, that make that feeling.
Yeah.
Your cuts, the shots that you're using, the music, your sound design, all of those things.
I've got to go.
Okay.
Y'all going to have to end the stream and everything when we're done.
We're almost done. I have like 3 more things. I can get through them quickly, though.
You've been talking for 9 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I can't boil down how
You're
to be an
good. Go.
advanced
Come on.
editor.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Number 4, I think you need to develop some kind of color grading skill.
Yeah.
So being able to
That's something we still
create-
struggle with
yeah.
at times.
being able to create footage that all looks the same, and then past that, being able to create a look that again can be used to affect a certain feeling in your audience. We talked about the editing instincts, and then lastly is time efficiency. So being an advanced editor is knowing how to work through things quickly, knowing how to be the most time efficient with
And knowing
with
how
your
much
time.
time things should take.
yeah.
I'll ask you, hey, how long you think it's going to take you? 2 or 3 days, and you're like, yeah. Or you know yourself, you know your skill set, this edit should take me a day. This edit should take me 3 days. This edit should take me 4 days. And I mean that's that. But knowing and getting to that advanced stage, you can look at a project and a hard drive full of footage and be like, all right, this is how long this is going to take me. That's an important skill, very important skill once you start trying to make money doing this.
And putting the systems in place for you to be able to
be as efficient.
maximize your efficiency.
For sure. But yeah, there's a lot to the advanced stuff, man. It takes a long time to get there. You don't get there overnight. If you're at the beginner stage, do not expect to be an advanced editor when you leave the class. Ain't happening. It takes a long time behind a computer screen to do it. Not as much as you would think. If you bust it day in and day out trying to do it, I mean, in 6 months, you can be a very proficient editor if you do it every day. You really can. I was a very proficient editor in 6 months, but I did it 8 hours a day, at least 5 days a week.
I think there's 2 things that go along with that. Is obviously the time, like you have to put in the time, and there has to be a desire to edit and create at that level. Because at any point, you could be like, I'm good with where I'm at. Like, I'm making the video I want to make, and that's totally fine. If that's where you want to be, that's where you want to be. But in order to become an advanced editor, or an intermediate editor, or a beginner editor, there has to be a desire to get to that stage, and there has to be like the personal willpower to take the risks, to try the things that you don't know, to develop your skill sets, and to keep working to always be improving and get to the next level.
Yeah. All right. Well, the class is this weekend. That's kind of the breakdown on how we're going to do it, and how we're going to teach it, and who's going to be teaching what. So if you're coming to the class, I'm looking forward to it. If you're not coming to the class, you missed out. And like I said at the beginning, sorry, you suck. We're going to end the podcast. I can't really hang out anymore. I got to steal my phone. So we're just going to end this one, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.